Boston Celtics player and former Turkish citizen Enes Kanter loves America. He loves it so much that he changed his last name to Freedom. But apparently he doesn't like freedom enough to allow you to voice your opinions. And that's according to Enes. Here he is talking to Tucker Carlson about how much he loves America and how everyone who doesn't love America needs to shut up.
It seems like people who move here from countries that are not free appreciate the freedoms here much more than a lot of us who grew up with those freedoms. Have you noticed that?
You know, I feel like I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna be honest. People should feel really blessed and lucky to be in this, being America, because they love to criticize it. But when you live a country like Turkey or China or somewhere else, you will appreciate the freedoms you have here.
Yes, that is exactly.
So I feel like they should just, please, they should just keep their mouth shut and stop criticizing the greatest nation in the world, and they should focus on, their freedoms and their human rights and their democracy. So this is, America gave me everything I have. So I definitely appreciate the United States of America.
That's how I feel.
Now, Cenk, I will have you answer for your fellow countrymen in just a moment. But before you do so,
you mean my fellow American?
Sure. But before I do that, I just want to note, like that logic is ridiculous. Like, okay, so if you love something, you're not allowed to ever criticize it. So don't you dare discipline your kids, because your kids are perfect. And if you really love them, you wouldn't criticize them, you wouldn't discipline them. In fact, if you do discipline them, must mean you don't love them and you should shut your mouth. Anyway, Cenk, go ahead.
Yeah, and kids, you go out there and tell your parents to shut their mouth and tell them #freedom, okay? Because if you love something, you can't criticize it. Okay, so it goes both ways for parents and for kids.
And if America is so perfect, do we really need the Second Amendment? I mean, what was the Second Amendment for again?
It was to protect against tyranny, because America might become tyrannical.
No, but America's perfect, Cenk.
It's perfect, so we don't need it.
We don't need it.
Oh, that's good news. Okay, so I guess we'll get rid of it.
Mission accomplished, guys. Okay. Awesome.
And while we're getting rid of amendments, he seems like he's not in favor of the First Amendment.
Let's get rid of that too.
Okay, all right. America's perfect, so let's get rid of the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. Okay, we're making fun because it's an absurd thing to say, my new name is Freedom, and you should shut your mouth about it. So, look, I love this country. Like Enes, I came here and I'm a naturalized American citizen from Turkey. Very similar fact pattern. And I think I'm blessed to be in America, but I recognize that it still has issues. And I think that we can make the country better. Like our founding fathers said, we could strive towards a more perfect union, okay? And by the way, amendments are one way that we do that. We continue, and the founding fathers said, continue to do amendments, because that is basically political revolution, and so you don't have to do a physical one. So there's a lot of great parts of the United States Constitution. At the same time, in the beginning, they called black people 3/5 of a person. And that was only so the South could have more power. They didn't actually even give them 3/5 rights, they gave them 0 rights. And they treated them as property. So was that a bad thing? I hope Enes thinks it was a bad thing. But back then, when that was what was happening, people like Enes would have said, well, if you don't like it, shut your mouth. Okay, it's called, hey, I'm proud to be an American. What, are you not proud of how America is? Well, no, I'm not proud of the slavery part, I would have said back then. And he would have said, shut your mouth. And that is what conservatives have said throughout American history. If you ever want any change, hey, they got kids working in the mines. They're like 8 years old and they're working nonstop. And then everybody's getting black lung disease. Maybe we shouldn't have kids working. Maybe we should have weekends. Shut your mouth, okay? America's the best, freedom. Get back in the goddamn mines.
No, I mean.
No, wait a minute. We can love the country, and in fact, because we love the country, we can try to make it better.
No, I think that if you really love something, you should enable its bad behavior.
Oh, I see. Good point. I hadn't thought of it that way.
You should be an apologist for its flaws.
Yeah. Now, look, there's more you should know about Enes Kanter, or Kanter is how you would say it in Turkish. He's a supporter of Fethullah Gülen. Gülen is a Muslim fundamentalist. He's probably the second most powerful person in Turkey. Him and Erdogan, another Muslim fundamentalist who's now the president of Turkey and the most powerful person, used to be great allies. Then they got into a cat fight and they both wanted almost all the power. They don't actually disagree on any philosophy or politics or principles. They're both fundamentalists, and so I'm against that. I'm secular, and I'm secular in America. I was secular when I was in Turkey. Now, neither one of those guys is secular. They love the religion of Islam and think it should rule, okay? Now, but they got into their catfight, and so everybody split into different camps. And since Kanter was raised in Gülen schools, he joined Gülen's cult. And it is very much a cult.
Does Tucker know about all this?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, now here's interesting facts. The American government clearly is protecting Gülen. The Turkish government wants Gülen back, okay?
The Muslim fundamentalists.
Yeah, they want the Muslim fundamentalists to not be protected by the American government, okay? Because they think he orchestrated a coup in Turkey. There's pretty good evidence to that effect, okay? And by the way, when we covered it on air, I showed you John Kerry, who was the Democratic Secretary of State back then, was very non-committal about whether the coup was a good idea or not. So the American government had an interesting role there, potentially, we don't know, okay?
Americans be cooing.
Yeah, they coup all over the world. Now, Gülen is very much supported by the American government. He has charter schools all across the world in strategic places, coincidentally. And where, of course, they need teachers, that need to be sent in there into those strategic areas under the guise of, hey, it's a good Muslim school that you should send your Muslim kids to in Muslim countries, right? But he also has a lot of schools here in America. Now, normally Fox News would be alarmed by a Muslim fundamentalist running charter schools all over Texas, but they seem to be totally okay with it, and so does the American government, and they will not turn him over to Turkey under any circumstances. That is an interesting set of facts. So now, does that make Erdogan the good guy? No, neither one of them is the good guy. We actually do news here. I know that's a foreign concept both in Turkey, unfortunately, and in America, but Fox News does right-wing propaganda, corporate media does corporate propaganda. We're here to tell you the truth. So Erdogan is also a Muslim fundamentalist. He's a danger to the country. By the way, Kanter also misrepresents Turkey too. Let's be clear about that. So I'm being super frank about the two most powerful people that are related to Turkey, but again, Gülen lives in Pennsylvania, protected by the American government. That's the guy that Kanter loves. But they're both wrong. They're both right wingers. They're both fundamentalists. They both are destroying the secular government of Turkey. But Turkey was not this place that Kanter is making it out to be, where if you disagree with the government, you'd be snatched up by the police. I lived in Turkey till I was 8. Obviously, I've had family and friends there for my whole life. If you're having a conversation, people have nonstop conversations about the government. He makes it sound like a police state. Now, on the other hand, does Erdogan just trample on people's rights and lock people up if they speak publicly against him? Yes. And that is destroying the Republic of Turkey, which didn't used to be like that. So, and then finally, I'll be fair to Kanter. Look, it's possible that he's kind of an innocent guy. I read a couple of his interviews and he seems really naive. Either he's got a good act or he actually is naive. And he's like, oh, I was with Gülen when the coup was happening. And he seemed really upset. He cried that night. Yeah, dude, his coup failed. That's why he was crying. Okay, but anyways, and he fights for some good things. Like he's really concerned about the concentration camps that the Chinese are running against the Uygur people. And he has a sneaker that says free Uygur. I'm in favor of that. Okay, so he does make some good points. He does argue in favor of some human rights, but I think he's being used and manipulated by the right wing, both Turks and Americans like Tucker Carlson for their own agenda. That is, yeah, rah, American deep state is awesome, ironic on Fox News, and China's the worst, and of course LeBron is terrible, that's why Fox News loves him even more, etc. He's just being used.
Okay, so final question for you. So Mr. Freedom is not the only Turkish player in the NBA. How do you think Mr. Freedom would do in a matchup against Miami Heat Turkish player Yurt Steven?
Ooh, look at Anna.
I know sports.
Yeah, she had to look it up and she was looking down the whole time to read his name.
I went to like one NBA game recently, and it was Miami Heat against Lakers. And my husband was like, "Oh, that one player with the Miami Heat is a Turkish guy."
Yeah.
So I had to look him up.
No,
yeah. Omer Faruk Yurtseven. Nailed it.
Okay, honestly, I have no idea. I haven't been following the NBA regular season at all. But look, guys, unfortunately in Turkey, because all those basketball players are national figures and very public figures, they kind of have to pick camps. So you're going to go Erdogan or you're going to go Gülen, and you're going to be in a lot of trouble if you go against Erdogan, who's the president, right? And so they even arrested Kanter's dad as a show of force. So there's like very serious oppression in Turkey right now because of Erdogan's government. So Kanter's not wrong about that. It's just his guy isn't any better, and in fact led massive oppression when he was in charge with Erdogan in Turkey. So and look, I'm in a unique position where I have the freedom, funny enough, to be against both. Which a lot of Turks don't get to have that freedom these days.
Maybe your last name needs to be Freedom.
Think about it, because I'm in favor of freedom in Turkey and in America, and I don't think anyone should shut their mouth. Oh my God, there you have it. Free Uygur. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.